All right, let's go do this next shot.
I don't want to do it, dude.
What do you mean?
I don't want to do it anymore. Drove into the lake. So.
Hey, come on, we're
Not
almost
doing it.
We're almost done here, Steven.
Just go make a meme video. Make it like
What?
some feminist video. I don't care. Go home.
What?
Done.
What?
It's not even funny. I didn't even script any of this.
It's very funny, Steven.
It's not funny.
It is. It's funny.
Hey, didn't see you there. Just got back from the blood sacrifice. You know when your out of touch Facebook friends scream, "Daylight savings stole an hour of my life," and you're like, hey, I don't think it really works like that. No, it is. It's how it works. A couple of my Magic the Gathering friends and I skipped to the top of a hill and sacrificed a goat. His name was Winston and he was adorable. But before we get into tonight's main event, you know what time it is. To answer some questions.
Put me down, you Italian meat sack.
Hey there, frighteningly sentient cardboard box. I don't think you realize how words affect people, because that hurt more than any emoji movie ever could.
The sole reason I stay alive is to watch you die first.
Speaking of dying inside, let's see what we got.
Ow. Help, I only see darkness. Father, is that you? Pain. 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 Pain.
Well, this is the Brazilian flag. Well played. I'm not going to question anything that's in this anymore. I'm not sure if this is a political statement or... What is the meaning of life? What do you know about Cthulhu?
Ha 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 ha.
This man wants his question answered. It is not a laughing matter.
Tick-tock goes the clock.
We already said it back an hour.
Ha ha ha, I speak not of arbitrary devices forged by mortal hands. I speak of the true clock, the merciless, unempathetic clock of time, the universal bounty hunter. The fall of the sun and moon is not beautiful, not something to behold in or a wonder. It is but another strike upon our calendar. The hourglass is frozen to the ground and we have no hope of salvation or redemption. The single moment in which our hearts refuse to reply is the same which renders our humble experiences mute and irrelevant. Run. Run from the fall of the sun. It will crush us all.
No, we already said it back an hour.
So many die poor, but you get to live.
I feel like you have to be more positive. I smell harassment lawsuit. You know you can be arrested for cyberbullying now?
Stephen, you are really attractive and all the girls think you're hot.
Agreed.
Also, your nose is totally normal-sized.
Yes, it is. Moving on. My is infested with small parasites. I personally hate it when my gets infested with small parasites. Last time, my doctor asked me, hey, how did your get infested with small parasites? And I was like, oh, they crawled from my into my It was horrible. Now that I've answered all the questions, it's time to move on to the meat of the meal. The croissants of our French dessert. Our mice and small pebbles of our homeless souffle.
Get on with it. Ow, 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 ow.
Hey there, boys and girls. Tough Boy Steven here to talk about some tough issues. So in this short burst of pretentious dribble, I'm going to be making the case generally against the artistic censorship, but mainly vitriolic backlash often faced by comedians. And if you don't necessarily agree with that thesis, stick with me. I'm going to try to cover all my bases here. But before we get into all of that, we're going to have to agree on 3 major foundational points. 1, comedy is an art form. 2, at the heart of all art is an expression of feelings or ideas. 3, let's deport clowns. I don't know what to say, I don't like them clowns. Scary clowns. Bob, hey Bob, what do you think about clowns? Just kidding, they're going extinct. You know what's not going extinct? Twitter hate mobs. Large comedian man makes joke and gets people mad, and adequately sized funny boy crosses the line are headlines I'm sure you've at least heard about, if not read yourself. Let's say that they do, but do you really think that vitriolic backlash and public mockery and shaming is the best way to open a conversation about this? Ignoring the life-ruining, cynical implications of it, you have to at least acknowledge the irony of typing out, "This man could have hurt someone's feelings. Let's lynch him." At least keep it consistent. You know who we should lynch? The clowns. Yeah, I'm gonna bring up the clowns again. They're weird. Clowns are weird. Some old man decided, yeah, I'm gonna powder my face up and put an apple on my nose and wear large shoes, and then the children will chuckle with glee. I don't know, they're weird. You know what's also weird? Transition. Louis C.K. was in some hot water after a joke he had made at an introduction to SNL, which I will show to you now.
Well, he tweeted out something that's absolutely nuts.
I do not like it.
I mean, it's so crazy because when you consider the risk in being a child molester, speaking not of even the damage you're doing, but the risk, there is no worse life available to a human than being a caught child molester. And yet they still do it, which you can only really surmise that it must be really good. I mean, from their point of view, not ours.
As mentioned, several media outlets took offense to this bit.
Victims are watching. What if victims' parents are watching? It's such a sickening thing that happens to people that I know comedians try to push the limit and they sometimes take risks and they don't work. But I think with something like child molestation, it's just not funny and he's too clever. Like, he could come up with 1,000 different things.
No, here's why. Point number 2, all art is an expression of feelings or ideas. I think they were in the opposite order last time. Louis C.K. is not making an edgy joke for the sake of edgy jokes. He's making a point. That being relating to or empathizing with people who almost everyone considers to be the worst type of human being on the planet. Child molesters.
From their point of view, it must be amazing for them to risk so much.
He's not only testing the boundaries of empathy, but he's also making light of the uncomfortable, of the nervousness that it provokes in the crowd.
How do you think I feel? It's my last show, probably.
There's a very real complexity to it. And to say that we should avoid these dangerous ideas is a dangerous philosophy in of itself. History does not look kindly upon people with that ideology. Where were we again? Oh right, moral dilemmas. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Your feelings don't matter. Any other way! You could have stopped me any other way!
Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind.
It's strange to hear all these supposed skeptics and rational thinkers bring up such an obviously false argument whenever this issue comes up. Your feelings don't matter. It's so clearly flawed and designed for the sole purpose of sweeping away any moral nuance from the conversation. Emotions heavily influence the quality of life and dictate future actions, so yes, of course, they matter. I'm not here to tell you to keep your feelings to yourself. If a joke makes you feel upset or hurt, feel free to express those feelings, and don't let anyone tell you that you're turning their kids into lesbian welfare furries. All I ask is that you don't manifest these feelings as an attack on the artist who inspired them. Be introspective. Why do you have these feelings? Does it exemplify any of your insecurities? Why don't we nuke the circus? Is it healthy to feel this way? I mean, they're all in one room. Why can't we just nuke this? Because that's what art is all about. You're not going to solve any issues by lashing out at people who bring up unsettling topics. Rule number 1, comedy is an art form. Both television and movies had the same arguments thrown at them when they were rising. And I think we really need to think about jokes before we cast judgment upon them. There's often more to them than you would imagine. Ask yourself, was PewDiePie's joke really anti-Semitic, or was he using anti-Semitism to make a point about something he found troubling? We've got to get better at this because it only serves to polarize and grant powers to groups and individuals that probably shouldn't have it. It's kind of the same thing with the punch a Nazi question.
It's Pepe's become kind of a symbol.
Congrats, you just legitimized a white supremacist. I didn't realize you could punch public sympathy into people.
But violence against fascism has been historically successful.
Yes, back before the internet existed, you abortion wish list.
Why do you hate me?
You know why. It's in no one's best interest to continue this agenda, and it's never won out, because I think at the heart of it, people know it's wrong on some moral level. All I ask of you is to listen, think, and respond. I hate Jews. Ironic racism is a bit more of a moral minefield, so if you haven't called me a Nazi yet in the comments, this part might do it for you. And no, I don't hate Jews. Obviously, ironic racism and sexism is a joke in which the punchline primarily lies upon a racist or sexist character to point and laugh at its absurdity. And this has always been a bit of a tricky subject philosophically for me. I guess morally is a better word. Most psychological studies show that these jokes can have a bit of an effect on people's judgments, so to say that it's completely harmless is dishonest.
But couldn't that normalize racist behavior?
It's improbable, but it can happen. So I would generally advise people to make these jokes where the recipients are equally aware of where the humor comes from. But if you're gonna try it out in a performance, try to make sure that you get your message across clearly. So, you know, like what I just did. When someone is trying to get a message across, their clarity is the defining variable of where the blame falls when someone misinterprets it. If the speaker is clumsy or mishandles their words, then the blame falls on them. But if the listener mishears or isn't paying attention, then it's on them. Not very complicated stuff.
But shouldn't they avoid these jokes to prevent such misunderstandings from occurring at all?
But now we're back at the shaming people for bringing up unsettling topics bit. Also, you were God's one mistake.
Oh.
I don't believe that comedians should be able to say whatever the hell they want without any criticism. But I also don't believe in going full Gestapo on someone without even trying to take to mind what they might be implying. But comedy can be dangerous, just like anything else in excess or addiction, especially in livelihood. People don't realize how bad a constant performance for the sake of social desirability can get. Irony should not be something you live in. It's suffocation, and soon you realize that your initial quest to tear down the fake and superficial has left you unable to speak a sincere word from your body, and realize that you completely have forgotten whoever you were when you originally chose this road. Not everything's funny, not everyone's an audience member, not every time's a performance, and until you get that through your head, no one's gonna want, understand, connect, or love you. You become a victim and prisoner of your own ultimate irony, as a creature that mocks what it can never have from its own self-perceived tower of superiority. You owe people more than a ha-ha.